This is the Coros Pace 2. It's the world's lightest GPS running watch. And this is 25 things you need to know about it before you buy one. The folks over at Coros were kind enough to send me this review unit, but this video is not sponsored. I've had the Coros Pace 2 for around 2 weeks. In that time I've done over 100k and I have some thoughts. Number 1. The world's lightest GPS watch. The Coros Pace 2 is the world's lightest GPS watch currently available on the market and weighs in at just 29 grams, including the nylon watch strap. Though I should point out that this is a pre-production strap and the final production version may be up to a gram heavier. If you prefer a silicone band, that's going to weigh up to 6 grams more, taking the total to at least 35 grams. Hefty. A few grams here or there may seem insignificant, but over a long run or an intense workout, it really can make the difference. Whilst testing the Pace 2, I've been comparing it to this. This is the Garmin Forerunner 245 Music. It is my usual running smartwatch, and it weighs a good 10 to 15 grams more than the Coros Pace 2. And you can definitely feel the difference. I much prefer the lighter watch, even though there's not that much in it. Number 2. Design. The design of the Pace 2 is fairly simple. It's a reasonably plain design with not much going on, and overall I'd have to say I'm a fan. There are some small design details on the side of the watch, but overall it remains minimal. Personally, I would prefer if it didn't have the line detail printed on the glass, but that's just me. Maybe they could have gone for just the button indicators and a small logo. The Pace 2 is available in 2 colours. This is the white version and it also comes in a dark navy, both of which come with either a nylon or silicone strap. Number 3. Watch straps. The straps on the Coros Pace 2 are a 20mm quick release strap with additional colours in the silicone band available separately from the Coros website. Of course, you should be able to fit any 20mm strap to the Pace 2, however in my testing using my Garmin 245 strap, I found the clearance on the body is tight. It did fit, but you can see there is a bit of resistance, so bear that in mind. Number 4. The watch body. The watch itself is made from fibre reinforced polymer. This is fairly standard for watches in this price bracket. Physical dimensions of the body of the watch are 42mm by 42mm by 11.7mm. Despite its lightweight design, it still feels robust. One thing to note, however, is the slight colour difference between the body and the strap connectors. Most people might not notice or much less care, but I did, so I'm telling you. Again, keep in mind, this is a pre-production strap, so this may not be an issue in the final production version. I've only had access to the white version, so this may not be an issue with the dark navy model. The body has a matte texture to it, which I like. However, over time, in this white colour, I think it's probably going to get quite grubby, and this has already begun to happen with the nylon strap. So maybe best to go for the dark navy if you're worried about getting it dirty. Number 5, waterproofing. The Pace 2 is waterproof down to 5 atmospheres, which I've recently learned thanks to some comments in a previous video. This is 50 meters. But it does also come with some small rubber plugs to protect the charging port from dust and debris. Number 6, digital dial and button. Let's talk about the controls. There are two. I'll start with the simpler of the two, the back button. It's got a nice clicky feel and is used to go back, hence the name, as well as launch a sort of quick tools menu. This can be customized in the app and contains things that you might regularly use, like a stopwatch or a compass. It can also be used to toggle through various bits of information on the different watch faces, things like how many steps you've taken in the day and number of stairs climbed. It will also activate the backlight. The second of the two controls is a little bit more interesting. This is called the digital dial. It's a small rotating dial and button combo, similar to those found on a traditional watch or Apple's digital crown on the Apple Watch. There is a bit of a learning curve to get used to using it, but I found it a nice way to control the watch, especially when scrolling through large sets of data. It also means you can control the watch with just one finger. Number 7, battery life. The battery life on this watch is amazing. It is hands down the best battery life I've ever tested on any smartwatch. From a full charge, I've been able to get 11 days of full use, including over 10 hours of GPS tracking, as well as heart rate monitoring and sleep tracking. Even with only 7% battery remaining, I'm still expected to get 3 days of general usage and up to 2 hours of GPS tracking. That's enough to run a half marathon. The stated battery life is up to 20 days of regular use and up to 30 hours in full GPS mode. But it's got a little trick up its sleeve. If you really need extended battery life and GPS, you can get up to 60 hours in their Ultramax mode. So what is Ultramax mode? Well, Coros says, and I quote, Ultramax GPS mode utilizes GPS, motion sensors, and proprietary algorithms to extend the battery life during outdoor running workouts without sacrificing too much of the tracking accuracy. For every 120 seconds, the GPS is switched on for 30 seconds. Coros Intelligent Stride algorithm along with motion sensors will kick in for the remaining 90 seconds. Now I haven't actually had a chance to test that because I haven't had the need, but if you was running say an ultra marathon and you wanted to track it, then this would probably be the way to go. The charge time for the watch is stated at less than 2 hours for a full charge, and in my testing I was able to get 80% at around an hour's charge. But if I'm totally honest, I've only actually plugged it in twice. Once when I got it, when it was on 27%, I charged it to full. Then I got about 12 days usage where it needed another charge, which is where I got up to 80% before I needed to leave the house. And it's still on 60% now, so I don't think I'm going to have to charge it again before I send it back. Number 8, the charging cable. Eventually, of course, you will need to charge the Pace 2, and this is done using their proprietary cable. The charging port is similar to those found on other wearables like a Garmin, and the same can be said of the cable provided. It's a USB-A on one end and proprietary port on the other, and as usual, it is far too short. I'm not sure what it is with smartwatch makers, but they seem to think that you only need a cable half as long as that you would charge your phone, despite the fact that you're very likely to be charging them in exactly the same place on your nightstand. It doesn't make any sense to me and it's very frustrating. The plus point with this watch, of course, is you're only going to do it every couple of weeks, so maybe it's not worth worrying about. Number 9, the screen. The screen is an always-on memory LCD. This means, as I understand it, that it only draws power each time it changes a pixel, and it makes it super power efficient. It's a 1.2 inch 240 by 240 pixel resolution screen that can display up to 64 colours, but I'm not going to name them. It does not feature a touchscreen, and for those of you who have seen my Garmin 245 review, if you haven't, I will link it up here and down here. That for me is a bonus. The screen is clear and easy to read even in direct sunlight and is covered with Corning glass. Number 10, the backlight. The Pace 2 features an auto gesture backlight. This will illuminate the watch face whenever it thinks you're moving the wrist in a way that you want to look at the screen. Something that we're all familiar with by now, and it works just fine. You've got a couple of settings here. You can set this to auto, which activates after sunrise and disables after sunset, or whenever it thinks you're asleep. Alternatively, you can set it to all day, which allows the backlight to be active all day. If none of these options work for you, you can of course turn it off. Number 11, sensors. The Pace 2 features a multitude of sensors, including optical heart rate monitor. Results from this were comparable with the Garmin 245. A barometric altimeter. Results again for this were comparable with the 245. However, they should be more accurate on the Pace 2 as the 245 uses GPS data only to estimate elevation. An accelerometer, a compass, a gyroscope, and a thermometer. Number 12, accessory connection. The Pace 2 is ANT Plus and Bluetooth enabled. So that's everything you need to know about the hardware. What about the user experience? Number 1, the interface. Scrolling down from the watch face reveals your daily stats, including calories burned, steps completed, activity time, and stairs climbed. Scroll down from here and you will see a bunch of daily tabs, showing you all sorts of metrics for the last 6 hours, including heart rate, elevation gain, atmospheric pressure, temperature, as well as some solar information like sunrise and sunset times. On each of the graphs you will get a current value as well as a min and a max and average value, and the ability to scroll through the entire 6-hour period in 10-minute slices by pressing the digital dial and scrolling from left to right. Number 2, running. The Pace 2 is primarily a running focused watch. With that in mind, there are 3 options for you to pick from when it comes to running. They are indoor run. The indoor mode lets you set the speed of the treadmill. I haven't been able to test this. Track run. The track mode promises to put an end to incorrect GPS data when running around a track. Coros says, and I quote, a proprietary algorithm as accurate as a stopwatch. And I haven't had a chance to test this either, but it sounds good. So let's move on to the third option, which is the standard running mode. Here you have 2 options as well as some settings that you can play around with. You can either start a run. This will be a standard open-ended run tracking your GPS route, heart rate, pace, cadence, stride length, running power, elevation, and of course your time. Adding lap markers is as simple as pressing the back button. To pause the run, you just hit once on the digital dial, and the same again to resume. And when you get to the end of your run, you hit the pause button, rotate the dial down to finish, and hold it in for 3 seconds to finish your workout. In the settings, you can turn on and set activity alerts for distance, pace, cadence, heart rate, and nutrition. Once you're running, the watch will display your chosen metrics, where you can either scroll through the pages manually or have them auto scroll. More on customizing those metrics later. The second option in the run mode is the basic interval mode. Here you can set the number and length of each interval, choose the rest period, and toggle on and off whether you want a warm up and cool down period. Number 3, GPS lock-on time. GPS lock-on time for the Pace 2 is excellent. During my testing, it took an average of 8 to 10 seconds to get a signal for GPS, and that was even the case when I was indoors. The Pace 2 supports GPS, GLONASS, Beidou, and Galileo. Number 4, GPS accuracy. GPS routes seemed fairly consistent with my Garmin 245 that I was using as a control, with only a very occasional stray line. I did, however, notice that on a few of my runs there was an occasional break in the GPS line, but the distances seemed to be fairly consistent between the 2 devices. Number 5, supported activities. The Pace 2 has 11 activities to choose from. They are run, indoor run, track run, bike, indoor bike, pool swim, open water swim, triathlon, strength, gym cardio, GPS cardio, and training. Number 6, workout programs. Workout programs can be downloaded from the Coros website, or you can in fact create your own. You can choose to make a program for running, swimming, cycling, and strength training. Running, cycling, and swimming all work in much the same way. You have a warm-up, the activity, and then the cooldown. You can change the length of each of these and the intensity of them across heart rate, pace or speed, power and cadence, or stroke, depending on the activity. You can also add multiple sets. In the case of the strength program, you can add activities across 6 different body parts or exercises aimed at the whole body, 15 different muscles and 11 different equipment types, as well as an assortment of other instruments. There's also a custom feature if you wish to create your own exercises. Each of the provided exercises has an animated demonstration, as well as a description, explanation, and tips on how to perform the exercise. Once you've downloaded or created your program, you can sync it to the Pace 2. Number 7, training plans. Training plans can also be downloaded from the Coros website, or again, you can create your own in the app. Here you can create a workout directly in the training plan, or you can add one of your existing workout programs. Then all you need to do is pick a start date and sync it to the watch. Number 8, sleep tracking. Sleep tracking looks to be fairly accurate in terms of the time awake and time asleep, but in terms of sleep states compared to the Garmin 245, they do differ. However, I can't really say which one is more accurate because I was asleep. So take from that what you will. Number 9, notifications. The Pace 2 is not designed to have all the functionality of, say, an Apple Watch. You can receive push notifications from your phone, but you can't respond to them. And you can receive incoming call notifications, but your only 2 options here are to mute the notification on the watch or to end the call. There's no pickup option, which might make sense considering there's no microphone for you to receive the call on the watch, but there is a number of times where I have used this accept function on my Garmin, despite it having no microphone. One unique feature of the Pace 2 is to further control which notifications the watch receives. You can turn on or off calls, text messages or emails individually, as well as individually controlling some of the more popular communications apps. Number 10, settings. Settings on the watch itself are fairly limited, with much of the customization being handled in the app. Customization of the workout interface on the watch, for instance, is limited to background color, font size, auto-scrolling, and turning on or off message alerts. When it comes to customizing the layout of the workout screens in the app, you have almost an infinite choice. You can customize each activity individually, choosing from 4 different frames, with 2, 3, 4 or 6 data fields across 5 pages, displaying a choice of 46 different data points, meaning you can display up to 30 different data points for any activity at any one time, if you really wanted to. Personally, I'm happy with just 4 on one page, but I like to keep things simple. Other settings you can change on the watch are fairly basic, like pairing additional external sensors, controlling tones and vibrations, or switching between watch faces. You can have up to 5 stored on the watch itself, out of a total of 37 to choose from in the app. Other app customizable settings include what appears on the activities list and in what order, as well as what's in the shortcuts toolbox and the order. Here is where you'll be able to sync your training plans and do firmware updates. So that's the user experience. But what's missing? Number 1, blood oxygen sensor. If you want the addition of a pulse oximeter, then you're going to have to step up to something like the Apex Pro. But that's going to cost you more than double the price of this watch. So if that's important to you, then there may be cheaper alternatives like the Garmin 245. Number 2, custom activities. The ability to create custom activities on the Pace 2 is not an option, so you're stuck with the 12 that it comes with. Personally, I think they're going to cover most of the bases for a watch at this price, but if that's something that's important to you, then again, you're going to have to look elsewhere. This is also something that could be added in the future via a firmware update. Number 3, music. Unfortunately, the Pace 2 will not satisfy your musical needs during exercise, as music storage and playback is not an option. But this is a feature that you usually pay a premium for. So what's the overall verdict? The Coros Pace 2 is an excellent GPS watch aimed primarily at runners. With its lightweight design and impressive battery life, it has just the right balance of features and price. Talking of price, the price of the Pace 2 may be one of its best features. At only $199 US, it sits squarely alongside the Garmin 45 and 45S, and below more expensive options like the Garmin 245, the Polar Ignite and the Sunto 5. The Pace 2, however, offers a lot of features that these watches don't, all of which means you get a lot of watch for your money. I would have no hesitation in recommending this watch to any runner. The battery life alone would make me consider switching from my Garmin 245. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Should I switch? If you want more of this type of content, then hit that subscribe button. While you're down there, why not hit the bell? Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.